Hi everybody, I hope you're all doing well. Well, if you watched my first video last week, my introduction video, you know that this week we're going to talk about coronavirus or COVID-19. I wanted to talk about this topic as it's something very current and something that affects all of us. So as I said in my video, I'd like to discuss the reaction of the British government and also show you the differences between the reactions between the UK government and the Scottish government. And then we can obviously compare that with the reaction of the Colombian government. Before we do that, I think it's important to look at some of the vocabulary related to this topic in English. So I'm just going to say some words and discuss it a little bit, and then we'll move on. So the first word is outbreak. So outbreak is the sudden occurrence or appearance of something. So when we talk about the outbreak of the virus, is when it began. We also have some words like epidemic and pandemic. Epidemic is when a disease is prevalent in a certain region, whereas a pandemic is an epidemic but worldwide, globally. So at the beginning, the coronavirus or COVID-19 was an epidemic, and then the WHO, the WHO, declared it a pandemic. Transmission or the spread of the disease, so the spread is from one person to another or from animals to humans as well, so that's the spread or the transmission. Also things that a lot of people have been doing as a result of the virus is isolation, which is generally when an ill person, or in this case someone who has COVID, has to remain in their room or their house during a week or 2 weeks, depending, without having any contact with anybody or leaving the house, which is a little bit different to quarantine, which is the same thing, but it's usually when the person is suspected to have it, but it's not certain. And then another word is lockdown, which is like a national quarantine, which all the countries have been going through. Here in Colombia, we've been in lockdowns since March. And some other words, face mask, which of course everybody's been wearing here. And another important thing is the social distancing, which is avoiding contact with people, usually 2 meters, not touching or anything like that. Okay, so now we're going to look at some of the reactions. So this image here is just comparing some different reactions between the UK government, Boris Johnson, and the Scottish government, Nicola Sturgeon. So as you can see, right at the beginning of the crisis, Boris Johnson had admitted in a video that he had gone to a ward in a hospital full of coronavirus patients and shaken hands with every one of them. Also at the beginning, instead of saying that we were going into a lockdown, he politely asked the British public not to go to the pub. Whereas in Scotland the reaction was a little bit different and definitely more sensible. Now the Scottish Government has decided to keep the schools closed longer. They will return in August, and the Scottish Government has also given clear guidelines throughout the whole lockdown about what people can and cannot do. Just to clear up, in the UK, the leader of the country is called the Prime Minister, whereas in the Scottish Government or the Scottish Parliament, the leader is the First Minister. Okay, let's have a look at another example. This image shows the very different reactions that the British and the Scottish governments took when faced with the same problem. For example, in the left photo, Dominic Cummings, who is the UK Chief Advisor, broke the rules by going to visit his parents' house 300 miles away from his own. After that, he refused to resign and was constantly supported by the Prime Minister himself. Whereas if you look on the right, that's Dr. Catherine Calderwood, who was the former Chief Medical Advisor of Scotland, who also broke the rules in order to visit her holiday home. But different to the UK government's reaction, she quickly resigned from the position, and the First Minister thought that this was the best idea. So again, this just shows you the different approaches that both governments took. Okay everyone, we'll continue this topic in part 2 of the video. For now, if you would like to answer the questions, then feel free to comment below, and see you soon. Hello everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to continue with COVID. We're going to look at the reaction of the British Republic this time, and then finally the Colombian government's response, and then I would like to know your opinions. Okay, now let's have a little look at how the British public reacted. So first of all, let's look at a selfish reaction or a bad reaction. So as may know, in the UK, we don't often get very good weather. So when the sun comes out, we do tend to take advantage. We like to go out and make the most of it and go to the beach. So as you'll see in the next photo, that's exactly what the British people did, even during lockdown. Oh, of course, that's a small minority who, during a lockdown when the weather was very good, evidently broke the rules and flocked to the beach and spent their days at the beach with their family with no social distancing. And of course, there was a lot of outrage about this. However, of course, that was a minority, and overall, I think most people behaved, and there's been a lot of solidarity between people. And the next video I'm going to show will show you that. So just to end in a positive note, I don't want to. Now you're going to see some clips of some more positive reactions from the British public. In the first clip, you'll see people applauding in the streets in show of solidarity between each other. In another clip, you'll see a man playing the bagpipes, which is one of the traditional Scottish instruments. And if you look closely, you also see that he's wearing the traditional Scottish dress, which is the kilt. And you'll see some other acts of solidarity as well. So the videos you just saw were from different parts of the country, where many people were going outside to applaud the NHS workers. The NHS is our national health system, so that's why people were going to show their thanks for them, and also for carers. So people who care for the elderly or the vulnerable in our society. So that happened, I think it's still going on every Thursday at 8 PM, and people went out to applaud or hit the pans, play bagpipes, sing many different things. So that's something nice to end it on, and it shows solidarity between the British people and our key workers. So now I just want to quickly end on the Colombian response. So obviously I've been here in Bogota during the whole crisis. So in my opinion, I definitely think the Colombian government reacted much quicker than the British government. But of course here the situation is very different because it's affected so many people who rely on working every day. So I would just like to know your opinion. How do you think the Colombian government have reacted, or the local mayors, the people and everything? So below, feel free to comment on your opinion or any other questions that you may have about what we've just looked at.